All right, everyone, especially our live people here. Um, we are actually getting into the introduction of Bhagavatam. Yesterday, we actually. Oh wow, Aoife's joined us. So, yesterday we actually read the preface. And it set the tone of why we're doing this, how unfortunately the civilization at large is misdirected. It is gliding down a path in which it can never be happy because it's chasing after temporary material things that are going to slip through everyone's fingers as birth, death, old age, and disease take their toll and course. So this universal teaching of Srimad Bhagavatam is going to actually allow us to at least focus, look at the eternal subject matter. And yeah, the conditioning is strong. We've been doing material activities for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Especially if you understand the science of reincarnation. But so we've been doing this for a long time. Actually, it's said we've been doing this eternally. But we've been given a rare opportunity to approach God. And actually, we're always kind of given this opportunity. I guarantee you at some point in your life when you're younger, somebody approached you about, approaching God. I know in the Christian tradition, I was approached by many people that, hey, you should focus on God. Hey, you should focus on God. Hey, you should focus on God. But I just didn't. I had I have to do this thing. I have to do that thing. The girls are looking nice over there. I got to work on my sports and my athletics and all these things like that. Yeah, God is later, or God is for Sunday for 1 hour, and that's it. So that's the unfortunate circumstance. So before we get into the Bhagavatam reading today, we're going to chant the Mangalacharna. So, Parth, you want to take this? Maybe you can put the Mangalacharna, you put a new tab and put the intro of the Bhagavad Gita so people can read. I'll start. These are just prayers honoring the teachings. There, we're going to actually just go through that second verse because we did the first verse yesterday. Give me that one. I also didn't share the screen on the Zoom, so that could help for those who are watching. So, this second verse is that Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam we just chanted. It's when will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who is established within this material world, the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet. For those who may not know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the most recent incarnation of Krishna, and that was only 500 years ago. And he performed amazing miracles. The same time that Christopher Columbus was sailing the ocean blue, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was performing his leelas with his dear divine friends in India. It's amazing. You could read about his pastimes. There are many books called the Chaitanya Mangala, Chaitanya Bhagavat, and the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which really get into this very deeply about his pastimes. But he established a whole worldwide movement. And Rupa Goswami, who is one of the chief Goswamis behind the pretty much revitalization of Vrindavan as a holy place. And now Vrindavan is like a bustling city. But really, Vrindavan, even only 50 years ago, was just very, country, forest-like. But it's amazing. In one sense, it's amazing how many people have taken an interest in Vrindavan. And in the other sense, it's a little less amazing how many people have damaged the seemingly natural beauty of Vrindavan. Vrindavan is actually eternal. You can't actually damage the spiritual potency of the place. But from the material perspective, people have, done so many constructions and there's so many things all over the place. For now, it's very city-like, but much more city-like. It still has a very wonderful country charm. Especially there are 12 forests of Vrindavan, and not all of it has been commercialized, you could say. But when will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who established within this material world the mission, fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? And what's Lord Chaitanya's desire is to give Krishna Prem, or love of Krishna, to the world. And Rupa Goswami's literatures are the foundational teachings, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion. Srila Prabhupada's books are Rupa Goswami's works, translated and brought into English. So, that's just one of them. Parth, you can take this back. We'll finish the prayer. The many select prayers. I'll take that back now. Many select prayers that glorify all of the lineage of personalities from God all the way down to us, and that's coming through many teachers and acharyas and maybe an incarnation of Krishna and so many wonderful prayers there. And so naturally we are, this is what we do. we try and glorify all the personalities who have given us this knowledge, including our very dear teachers. So this is, it just does not want to go, huh? I guess I will do the full screen. So, why is that doing that, Parth? Why do you think? I can't get it to, I keep widening the screen and still it's going off the screen more. So we're reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, and once I figure out how to actually I'm being told to zoom out. I mean, worst comes to worst, I could just... Okay, that works. All right, so we're reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now we're in the introduction. So we'll begin. The conception of God and the conception of absolute truth are not on the same level. The Srimad Bhagavatam hits on the target of the absolute truth. The conception of God indicates the controller, whereas the conception of the absolute truth indicates the summum bonum, or the ultimate source of all energies. There is no difference of opinion about the personal feature of God as the controller, because a controller cannot be impersonal. Of course, modern government, especially democratic government, is impersonal to some extent. But ultimately, the chief executive head is a person, and the impersonal feature of government is subordinate to the personal feature. So without a doubt, whenever we refer to control over others, we must admit the existence of a personal feature, because there are different controllers for different managerial positions. There may be many small gods. According to the Bhagavad Gita, any controller who has some specific or extraordinary power is called a Vibhutimat Sattva, or controller empowered by the Lord. There are many Vibhutimat Sattvas, controllers or gods with various specific powers, but the absolute truth is one without a second. This Srimad Bhagavatam designates the absolute truth, or the summum bonum, as the Param Satyam. So this is starting to use kind of fancy words a little bit, like summum bonum. You might not have heard of that, but it's the ultimate goal, or the ultimate source of all energies. Srila Prabhupada is giving a nice analogy how there's a government, and if the government, let's say I just got charged way more on my taxes than I was thinking I would get charged. And so the government as an impersonal system pretty much charged me the taxes. It's not like Joe Biden, who sits atop the American government. He personally dictated that I have to pay $3,600 dollars to the taxes. Sorry, that's the number. I shouldn't disclose my tax information. But so anyway, it's not like Joe Biden has personally ordered, but because Joe Biden and many others have set a certain constitution and added their personal touch to the impersonal agency, the government, we have a functioning government that takes care of so many things. And there are many personalities who run different departments. So Prabhupada is he's letting, other different gods, or many small gods. If you think of a corporation, there's a CEO, and then there's a district manager, a regional manager, a department manager, chief financial officer. There's so many different departments, and each person is quite powerful in that department. But ultimately, if the person above them wants to fire them or overrule their authority, he can. And even above the CEO, there might be a board of directors, and then they can overthrow him. You saw someone like Steve Jobs, who could he could be the CEO of Apple, but he can get thrown out by the board of directors, which actually happened before he well, he did pass away from this world. But anyway, this is not the point. Material governments and financial institutions and whatnot. But in the reality of the spiritual realm, there is a person guiding over all of this. And this is God, what we know as God. But the Bhagavatam is giving the full subject matter of the absolute truth. The absolute truth is the entire subject matter. So we'll talk about the government, the regional manager, the district manager. It'll talk about all of this. And it'll allow you to compartmentalize and understand the different facets of God, stemming from the personal aspect, but emanating out to the seemingly impersonal aspect. So, this is kind of Prabhupada's introduction here. I'm just trying to do him a service by expanding upon it, if possible. Probably not possible. But we'll continue. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva, first offers his respectful obeisances unto the Param Satyam, the absolute truth. And because the Param Satyam is the ultimate source of all energies, the Param Satyam is the Supreme Person. The gods or the controllers are undoubtedly persons. Sorry, we're offering the prasadam if you hear bells. But the Param Satyam, from whom the gods derive powers of control, is the Supreme Person. The Sanskrit word Ishvara, or controller, conveys the import of God. But the Supreme Person is called Param Eshwar, or the Supreme Ishwar. So we'll read that part again. Since the Sanskrit word Ishwar, or controller, it's conveying the import or the meaning of God. But because he does not derive any power, but because he does not derive any power from any other source, he is supremely independent. In the Vedic literatures, Brahma is described as the supreme god, or head of all other gods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna. But the Srimad Bhagavatam confirms that even Brahma is not independent as far as his power and knowledge are concerned. He received knowledge in the form of the Vedas from the Supreme Person who resides within the heart of every living being. That Supreme Personality knows everything, directly and indirectly. Individual infinitesimal persons, that means very, very small persons, who are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality, may know directly and indirectly everything about their bodies or external features. But the Supreme Personality knows everything about both his external and internal features. So I'll read that again. The individual infinitesimal persons who are parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality may know directly and indirectly everything about their bodies or external features. But the Supreme Personality knows everything about both his external and internal features. Where we're not so realized, where we know everything that's going on internally. We're very sometimes expert at surveying the world around us, or maybe we're very conscious of our body. This health is like this, I have a rash like this, I have to take this herb or thing like this. But most of the time we don't even know everything about externally what's going on. But what's to speak of internally? This is actually only the deep meditator is taking this journey within, so to say, or this internal journey. So the Bhagavatam is going to take us on that journey. But also, it's also understanding the position of the Supreme Person. God knows all of his external emanations and manifestations, but he also knows everything going on internally. And he knows everything going on externally, internally of all of us. It's on a different level. So all of this, and it also mentions Brahma. Brahma is actually like the creator God of each individual universe. But even Brahma has to answer and be created. Brahma isn't the original personality. The only one who doesn't have to be created is the original personality. And for us, it doesn't even make sense. How can something not be created? Everything that we know is created. You have to make it like this. Our bodies were created through our parents, and so on. And we watch everything get created. But consciousness, you can't trace the creation of your own consciousness, and you actually can't trace the creation of God's consciousness. So it's pretty far out, but God is paradoxical. The Supreme Person goes beyond what is normally limited by our reason and logic, because we only understand how the material world works, and so we create our whole basis of reason and logic based on the material world. But God is beyond the box that you can wrap your mind around. So he is beyond actually all human reason and logic. So he's inconceivable. I think the word for that is achintya. It's a name for Krishna. It means inconceivable. But the words Janmad Yasya in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam suggests that the source of all production, maintenance, or destruction is the same Supreme Conscious Person. Even in our present experience, we can know that nothing is generated from inert matter, but inert matter can be generated from the living entity. For instance, by contact with the living entity, the material body develops into a working machine. Men with a poor fund of knowledge mistake the bodily machinery to be the living being, but the fact is that the living being is the basis of the bodily machine. The bodily machine is useless as soon as the living spark is away from it. Similarly, the original source of all material energy is the Supreme Person. This fact is expressed in all the Vedic literatures, and all the exponents of spiritual science have accepted this truth. The living force is called Brahman. And one of the greatest acharyas or teachers, namely Sripad Shankaracharya, has preached that Brahman is substance, whereas the cosmic world is category. The original source of all energies is the living force, and he is logically accepted as the Supreme Person. He is therefore conscious of everything past, present, and future, and also of each and every corner of his manifestations, both material and spiritual. An imperfect living being does not even know what is happening within his own personal body. He eats his food but does not know how his food is transformed into energy and how it sustains his body. When a living being is perfect, he is aware of everything that happens. And since the Supreme Person is all perfect, it is quite natural that he knows everything in all detail. Consequently, the perfect personality is addressed in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Vasudev, or one who lives everywhere in full consciousness and in full possession of his complete energy. All this is clearly explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and the reader has ample opportunity to study this critically. So there are a few really nice points here. And Prabhupada's he's pumping us, it's an introduction, he's pumping us up for the Bhagavatam. He's letting us know the supreme position of Krishna, the Supreme Person. He's also letting us know that the entire material manifestation is a categorization of Krishna. It's not actually the living energy. There's inert matter, the material energy, so to say, and there's a personality that can run the material energy. But it's just like your body. When the soul is not in the body, it's quite grotesque. Everyone would be horrified if, my body just dropped dead here. Right now, my soul decided to leave my body. You'd all be horrified, and maybe for some time, you'd want to touch my body, like, wake up. But once you realized it's dead and it's rotting and it's all this, it's like, oh, this is nasty. What is this thing? So similarly, what makes my body worth interacting with is my soul. I mean, my soul is not very nice, but, your guys' souls are very nice. So interacting with each other is nice, but no one wants to interact with a dead body. Maybe there's a funeral or something like the procession. In the Vedic culture, they burn the bodies. Unless they're a very great personality, they bury them in samadhi. But in the Western culture, everyone is this or that burying, or so many different things are being done.
Some people's bodies are like rotting when they're sick, you know? Like, there's a whole ward of the hospital. Let's put me on here. I don't look like I'm in jail again. I was just saying that there's like a whole ward in the hospital where it's like infectious diseases, which is basic, and which is like people's bodies are like rotting and they can infect others that can then make them rot. And I was thinking of like when my dog passed, all his organs were failing and everything was smelling because like his body was, the soul was still there, right? But like the body was starting to rot, which is such like a weird like phenomenon.
Yeah, I'm. That's just part of the kind of material energy. It has a creation, a maintenance, and a destruction. And when it's time, disease is part of the destructive process. But everything is transforming. But it's the soul, it's the consciousness. Now, what's giving life to all of creation is the supreme consciousness, and that's what we're going to learn about in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, in the modern age, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached this Srimad Bhagavatam by practical demonstration. It is easier to penetrate into the topics of the Srimad Bhagavatam through the medium of Sri Chaitanya's causeless mercy. Therefore, a short sketch of his life and precepts is inserted herein to help the reader understand the real merit of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is imperative that one learn the Srimad Bhagavatam from the person Bhagavatam. The person Bhagavatam is one whose very life is Srimad Bhagavatam in practice. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the absolute personality of Godhead, he is both Bhagavan and Bhagavatam in person and in sound. Therefore, his process of approaching the Srimad Bhagavatam is practical for all people of the world. It was his wish that the Srimad Bhagavatam be preached in every nook and corner of the world by those who happen to take their birth in India. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, of whom we have preliminary information from the text of Bhagavad Gita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that anyone, regardless of what he is, who is well versed in the science of Krishna, or the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, can become an authorized preacher or preceptor in the science of Krishna. There is a need for the science of Krishna in human society, for the good of all suffering humanity of the world, and we simply request the leaders of all nations to pick up this science of Krishna for their own good, for the good of society, and for the good of all of the world's people. So now we're going to have a short sketch of the life and teachings of Lord Chaitanya. What time is it? 7:52. So we're going to end there, actually. Maybe we'll just have little closing thoughts here. So Prabhupada is kind of pleading for the world and its leaders to take the science of Krishna. If actually people know, like for instance, if you're working in a... I've seen on the online that they have some prank shows where they have the CEO of a company come in, but he dresses up like an ordinary person. You've seen this before? Have you all seen this? So he dresses up like an ordinary person, and you say he's the CEO of McDonald's. This is a very bad corporation. But anyway, this corporation, McDonald's, with all their unhealthy poisons and things like that they give the world. But he walks in, and he's like, can I order this, that, and that? And so he sees how the people on the low level are doing their jobs. So if someone is really acting up on the job or they're not doing a very good job, the CEO is directly seeing, and he has a lot of control over that person's life. He could fire them, like this. But people don't know that there is a controller that's perceiving everything that we do. And people don't know that there is a foundational controller. So if people understood the science of God, if they understood that the CEO is actually always there, always watching, he's actually inside your heart, seeing everything that you're doing. If people actually understood this, we would start to act differently. Yeah, the conditioning is there. Yeah, we've been quote unquote sinful for so many lifetimes. In this lifetime, Even when we have some knowledge, the impulses are so strong, the urges are so strong to act a different way that you might not get it. But we, at least if we know God is watching, even his representatives are watching, we may begin to act differently. And that's kind of the hope of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is to transform, to revolutionize the hearts of the misdirected civilization. And I actually feel fortunate because I'm, after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam so much in my life, not so much, but maybe the past 5 years I've been hearing and more the Srimad Bhagavatam, getting to read it now once and then even twice. I kind of feel I have this golden opportunity now to begin the kirtanam process or glorifying the Bhagavatam. And actually this is going to help me remember and rehear the Bhagavatam. And also we're putting it online and also on YouTube, so I can even rehear it again because I'll probably forget what I read today.
He likes to hear himself a lot.
My wife makes fun of me because I like to re-listen to if I speak on something. But anyway, thank you for joining today. That will be the class portion. We're going to do now our portion of worship and bhajan here. So we'll sing to the gurus, and then we'll sing some prayers. We'll open the deities and we'll sing some prayers glorifying the Lord. And then, thanks for joining us. You're welcome to join for as much as you like. And Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, Jaya Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara. You want to take this? Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara, Jaya Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara.
Am I leaving this on? Am I leaving this on?
Yeah. Jaya Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara, Jaya Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara, Guru Parampara. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakti Sadma, Shri Guru Charana Kevala Bhakti Sadma, Pando Mui Sabadana Mate. Yahara Prasade Bhai, E Baba Toriya Jai. Yahara Prasade Bhai, E Baba Toriya Jai. Krishna Prapti Moya Hoite. Krishna Prapti Moya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya
Govinda
Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine thanks everyone who joined, both online and in person. We're so happy.
Prerna joined us.
See
Hi,
Prerna. Nice to see you, Prerna. Yeah, this is, we're gonna do this every day. We're gonna try and share. But I mean, Parth, Meghna, and Sita, we already do this every day. So now we're just kind of sharing what we do. But thanks anyone who did